You're very popular on Instagram. You have 9 million Instagram followers. Are you familiar with what reply guys are?
No.
Okay, so reply guys are people on the internet that are mouth-breathing lurkers that generally reply to every single post a woman puts on the internet.
But are they bots?
These are real people.
Oh, okay, I know about bots.
Let's show some of the reply guys for Halle Berry.
But are they real people or are they bots?
I mean,
I think
let's
they're
take
bots.
a look.
They're bots.
This, how you doing, baby girl? Heart. 100% real person. I want to say unequivocal creep.
I want to know how I was doing.
Sean McLaughlin 77 writes, marry me. Just fishing, just really. There's these other guys that are the like guys. They will just go to your profile and like. They're not replying, but they are liking. Look at this guy, Ronnie Chang. You're jumping on the beach, liked by Ronnie Chang.
He just likes me.
Here's you as Catwoman, Ronnie Chang. No, this man is married.
Do you not go on social media and like things?
I would like and add a comment that adds exposition or necessary context.
But you couldn't just like it.
Blind liking?
Yeah, you couldn't do that.
No blind liking.
No blind liking.
No blind liking on a Catwoman costume. But if you said it's World Orange Health Education Math Day, like.
Well, I do it all wrong. Because I like whatever I want to like. Because I am in menopause and I have no fucks to give.
You have no fucks to give.
And I like whatever I want to like.
I have so many fucks to keep. In many ways, Hollywood is a microcosm of America. It's dominated by fantasy, violence, and greed. And it treats women over 35 like a class 3 biohazard. One Hollywood actor is leading an effort to change that last part. I'm talking about Halle Berry. For any Gen Zs watching this right now, if you don't know who Halle Berry is a f***ing legend. In 2002, she was the first Black woman to win the Oscar for Best Actress. She was Storm in X-Men. She was a Bond girl. She was even Catwoman. And even though that movie was critically panned, she showed up to collect her Razzie in person, holding her Oscar. Legend. Since then, she has continued to challenge herself with demanding physical roles, both as an actor and even as a director. But now, Halle Berry is 58 years old, which in Hollywood is known as legally dead. And that f***ed up belief, that belief that older women aren't valuable to society, is the villain that Halle Berry wants to fight next. She is fully leaning into her second act as an advocate for menopause education, hosting a masterclass, lobbying for more research and education around menopause, even launching a new company called Respin, whose mission is to rebrand menopause and support women in the second half of their life. So I sat down with Halle Berry to learn more about why she's making menopause her passion and to fill in some of my own knowledge gaps on it. I mean, there were a lot of gaps. It was pretty much all gaps. You've had an illustrious, amazing career. You're the first Black woman to win an Oscar. You have been name-dropped hundreds of times in various rap songs.
That's my greatest accomplishment.
All jokes aside, I really do believe this is a massively pivotal moment in your career because you are using your platform and you are using your lived experience to talk about menopause education and how we talk about aging in America. Yeah. Why did you dedicate this chapter of your life to this particular cause?
First, I'll say it is pivotal. It is my second act mission, yes. Right? It's what wakes me up in the morning. It's what keeps me up at night. It is that important to me. And I think the impetus was when I found out in the most horrific way that I was in perimenopause, I realized that nobody had even talked to me about menopause. Like, I didn't even think I would necessarily go through menopause. So I realized—
Wait. You really believe that?
I really believe that. That's how little I knew. That's how 0 people had ever talked to me about it. Nobody ever said, you're gonna go through menopause, right? My mother never talked to me about it. My doctors never talked to me about it in any substantive way. I knew that women went through it, but I didn't know that every woman went through it. I really thought some women could skip it.
I read in an interview you were with your physician and you describe it in a pretty graphic way of what was the conversation that happened.
Yeah. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had just met the man of my life, my partner I have now. We had the best sex two people could have. I was like, ooh, I'm 54 years old. Life is great. Everything's still working. I found my guy just in time. Wake up in the next morning. I go to the bathroom and I cannot use the bathroom. I cannot empty my bladder. It is so excruciatingly painful. And I'm just sitting there like, trying to let it out. And I have no idea. I'm like, what? Last night it was like, talk about pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
Last night, that's what it was. And now I'm in the most pain I've ever felt. So right away, of course, Van takes me to the doctor. I go to the doctor and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but told him the same thing I just told you.
Yeah.
He looks up there and he says, well, I know what this is. This is a really bad case of herpes. I'm like, herpes? What do you mean herpes? I don't have herpes. He goes, I've seen a lot of these. Like, this looks like a bad case of herpes.
This must have thrown a huge wrench in your relationship.
Oh my God. It's like 1 year. And, at this point I thought, this is my guy. And I thought, well, he should have been able to tell me about this. Like herpes, you should have told me. Not that it's a deal breaker. People live with herpes all the time, but God damn, isn't this something you should be told? First thing I say when I get downstairs, I open the door, hey, so you got herpes? He's like, no. And he goes,
shit.
I'm like, yes, you do, because I have herpes. He says, I don't have herpes. I'm like, well, you do, because I have herpes now. And he says, well, nobody ever told me I had herpes. I'm like, well, let me be the first to tell you. You have herpes, and now you have given it to me.
Okay, and this is an MD who gave you this diagnosis?
Yes, my doctor. And so my doctor said, the official test will come back in 3 days. So I had to wait for 3 days, but he was very sure this is what it was.
Right.
But for 72 hours, what we went through, a new couple, like we just shouldn't have to go through that because we were questioning each other's loyalty.
You're that mean where you guys both have the gun at each other.
Yeah.
And but it's the herpes gun.
Yeah.
You have it? You have it.
You have it. No, you have it.
You have it.
No, you have it.
No, you have it. Yeah.
And so he gets the call first from his doctor. He does not have it.
Okay.
So of course he looks at me and he says, well, I don't have it, so over to you. You have it and I don't have it. So then I'm thinking, oh shit, I have it. I never knew I had it.
So he's on I Told You So mountain.
He's on I Told You So mountain.
You have herpes. Okay.
This big.
Okay,
he's
gotcha.
Like,
all right.
That's a you problem.
Herpes hot potato.
Yeah.
Why don't you
so glad
that?
I know now.
Yeah.
For like a few hours before my doctor calls me, I'm just feeling really bad about myself. And then finally my doctor calls me and he says the same thing. He says, well, you don't have it. And I said, I don't? I'm like, you sure? He's like, no, you don't have it. And here's the pivotal moment. I said, then what is it? And he said, I don't know. And that was my aha moment. And I thought, you don't know? Okay, well, I bet I'm gonna go on a reconnaissance mission and figure it out for myself what this is if you don't know, because this is terrible.
Okay, so take me through that journey. So you're in I Don't Know.
I'm in I Don't Know. I get on the internet,
Yeah.
start Googling.
Okay, this is not a good...
It's not a good thing, but you can go down rabbit holes.
Sure.
But it gave me enough information to start to put some pieces together.
Okay.
And I started talking to some other people that I knew and that I trusted, other women sort of about my age, and started asking, do you ever have an issue having sex anymore? And then the minute I started asking the question, people started to say, yeah, are you having problems? Is it happening to you? And I was like, tell me what's happening, tell me more. And then I realized that within my circle of friends, like 4 of them kind of had a similar thing happening to them. And then that led me down that path of, what did we have in common? Well, our age, kind of the same age. Put that in, Chat GPT and Google and started figuring it out. And then I realized that this was a very common symptom of menopause. 60% of women have dry vagina, dry mouth, dry eyes. It's very common, but yet my doctor never thought about that.
Did you even think of entering the M word into the Google search?
No. I thought of some other
I'll do the C
venereal
word all
disease.
the time. Something won't work and I'll just go, is this cancer? You know, like my left eye's twitching, is this cancer?
Yeah.
Did you even, because Google has a thing where it finishes the sentence. You weren't even going there.
Menopause never crossed my mind.
So do you think this is, I mean, we're quite literally talking about the symptom, but let's zoom out and look at the macro problem. Why do you think fellow women, colleagues, other people that you know in society around this age, why don't they talk about it? Yeah, did you think about why this isn't a thing that's mentioned between you and your girlfriends?
One, there's no education around it, right? Nobody talks to us about it. So why would it be a thing that we would bring up, right? And nobody talks to us about it because one, there's no education, there's no research around it. I mean, doctors only have a chapter in medical school. Only 13% of the doctors in our country, America, understand the menopausal body. So who's talking with us about it? Nobody. Our mothers didn't talk to us about it, so we don't even have an awareness of what it is. But for those that do understand or have heard it, it's so stigmatized. It's the last thing you want to have. It's the last thing you want to talk about. You don't want your guy to know because why? It's inextricably attached to aging and being old. And as women, we've been taught by this society of, our Western society that we no longer have value. We're no longer desirable. Right. We have no place in the workforce anymore. It's time for us to go out to pasture and just basically disappear. Who wants to connect with that shit?
Totally.
Nobody.
Yeah. I saw you do this interview and you said, men get sexy, women get old.
Yeah, you guys become gray silver fox.
No, but Halle, I want to respectfully push back here. There's 3 guys in Hollywood that get sexy as they get older. That's like George Clooney. If you've been to a Dick's Sporting Good in the Midwest, it's rough out here for the 50 plus. You got motherfuckers walking out here with the bald cul-de-sac on their head, pot bellies.
But you know what?
Yeah.
That pot belly bald guy could pull a 30-year-old.
Yeah, but that but Halle, this should be criminal.
Well,
and that's another thing I wanted to ask you
too. It should be criminal.
Yeah, because this whole thing about older men then getting 25-year-old girlfriends and then getting them pregnant is weird, and I think they should go to The Hague. Respectfully.
It should be, but until they are, that's a part of our culture that's real. And it's a part of it that continues to sort of make us as women feel like we're old. We have, and if we get a younger partner, think about how that's stigmatized. Right. Then we got to be called cougars. We have to have some negative connotation to the fact that we're like in our 50s, but if we still feel good, look good, we can go get a 30-year-old. Somehow we're demonized for doing that or something is wrong with us. Right. I say you can go get if you can do that, girl, go do that. But that's not how society views that.
So let's talk about Respin a little bit, and why this became such a big mission statement for you. By the way, congratulations on the launch.
Thank you.
I went to the website.
Thank you.
Me and our producer Scott, we went on the website.
Thanks. So did you read anything on that website?
Well, the first button that came up says connect and learn in a private community. And my first thought was, is this a community that will cut me off from my family? And can I join your cult? That was my first thought.
Will it cut you off from your family?
Yeah. Well, it just says come and join our private community. So like my brain immediately went to I can no longer talk to my loved ones. There will be an island. Halle Berry is the chief priestess. And I'm okay with that, by the way.
No, okay. That just means that what happens there, it's like Vegas. What happens in there stays in there, that you have women have a safe, private place. We're not going to sell their information. We're not going to put it on the internet. We're not going to use it in any obtrusive way, that they have a safe place to come, open up, say whatever they need to say, and join forces with other women.
You are presented with a very difficult challenge. I'll tell you, this is going to be one of the toughest journeys of your career, because it's not just about aging or rebranding menopause or even educating people. It is extremely difficult to talk about aging in Western society. Mm-hmm. Western society specifically values youth.
Yeah. And you know what? It's evident as we walk around in our country. I am horrified by what I see women doing to their bodies and their faces. We're turning into monsters in that eternal search for youth and to stay eternally 35. Because that's what we are taught our society values. And that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking for me. Because I know I can't stay eternally 35. And to be made to feel that I have to in order to hold on to my value is scary. It's really scary.
Can I ask, why do we have, in Western storytelling, why do we have this obsession with new love and not old love? New romance, but not seasoned romance. Young people moving to a city and doing it for the first time over people acquiring pain and suffering and heartbreak and wisdom.
Why do we?
I don't know.
I don't
I was
know
asking
either.
you, like my
I don't know
IMDb
either.
isn't deep enough. I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, ChatGPT. Like, I know that this exists, and I think it will continue to exist until people start standing up and we start realizing, but that's not sustainable, right? That's why I think we're turning into monsters. I think we're starting to realize that theory is really not something that, in the long run, is actually
well, for me in Indian culture, quite literally, again, if you go back to India to visit
which I love
family
India.
members, you'll literally do this and you'll touch the feet of your elders as a sign of respect, and then they'll pat your head almost to be like, hey, you don't have to do that. Thank you so much. It's like it's a sign of mutual respect.
Yes.
You still know your Dadaji's crazy,
right?
But you respect his wisdom and you respect what he's been through.
Yeah. What is it like for women in India? Like, how do women age there? I'm very fascinated by this. I'm going to do a show soon going around the world to learn this.
I can't speak for a woman's experience, and I certainly shouldn't make that mistake of speaking for an Indian woman's experience. But I will say this. I was thinking about us sitting down today, and I thought about, even the idea of death in America is a very scary concept. What I mean by that is, if you grow up with your family in India, your extended family is around you as well. Mm. So your Nana, your Nani, your Dada, your Dadaji, they've died in your home. They've died in the room next to you. Mm. But here in America, old people die in these senior living centers. So it becomes this spooky dorm for older people.
They die alone. Yeah.
Whereas this idea of death and people dying, several people have died in my family's childhood home. Mm-hmm. It's just it's a part of, and then you sleep on that bed. Like it's not a
thing.
It's not like a mini series about how the bedroom is haunted. Like it is a part of life. And
does that make you feel closer to them, even though they've passed on?
Totally.
To sleep in the bed that they transitioned?
Yeah, it also makes me feel like I know the the chain of life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm, a young adult. I become an adult. I become midlife, and I become a grand. And that's part of life.
And you know what?
It's not foreign.
No, and you know what? I think I know this too. When I go to India, I have this feeling like I've been there before. I just went to Kerala not long ago, and I went to a wellness retreat there, and I had this. I call him my Swami, but I did like a 4-hour meditation with him. And he told me that I had my third eye opening.
Yes.
And it was like a moment where I had a knowing that happened. And he started to talk to me about what the curse, the joys and the pleasure of this third eye.
You said you could feel his aura. I read that you could feel his aura.
Yeah, I saw his aura.
Yeah.
I saw it. And he said it would be a blessing and a curse. And it has been a blessing and a curse. I see things more clearly. The curse is I have to act on it. And this takes you back to, why am I doing what I'm doing for Respin? I saw the need and I had to do something about it, even if it meant trying to start a company, raising money. I've never done this stuff before, but I had a knowing that this is a problem and I will die trying to change the lives of women. I got a calling, right, that I knew was just meant for me to do. And it comes from you being in touch with that cycle of life. We're here, we're born, we're here to live, and we're here to die. But because I believe we come back, dying isn't so scary. Yeah. I might fulfill my purpose here. I'll either come back or I won't come back. If I have another purpose to fulfill, I will. And I'll come back and I'll do that. So it's not scary to me
As
either.
an artist, have you always been comfortable with death?
Always been. I've never even experienced death of anybody that I really deeply loved. That hasn't happened yet in my whole life.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Yeah. Not a death. I mean, estrangement and people, leaving my life for one reason or another, which is another form of a death, but not a death, like a final death. No. Nobody I really cared about.
That's really interesting. Yeah. That's something that, I'm very, very used to.
But I'm not afraid of it.
That's awesome.
I'm not afraid of it.
I also want to just real quick, I got to give you your props for using your platform to focus on this issue specifically, because there's a lot of very powerful people and celebrities of your stature
Yeah.
that get to a certain point in their career and then all of a sudden launch a podcast. I'm Martin Sheen from The West Wing, and this is my podcast called We're Saving Democracy Now. Live from my guest bedroom in East Hampton. We're going to talk to thought leaders and figure out what the hell's going on. I mean, I just think that
that's a good podcast.
No, but Halle, it's not a good podcast because it's people that are highly emotional, but have low kind of information.
Yeah.
But you've really spent a lot of time learning about this.
Yeah.
And
I
surround yourself with experts.
Yeah, I'm going to say I have low information too. Why? Because there's low information in the world about it. We need way more studies. We need way more dollars to do clinical trials and studies, and then we need to get it out to women. We need time to observe women, and sort of download this into our IA data bank so that we can start to understand what it is for a woman to be in menopause. And we won't know that for years and years until we can actually focus on studying women and seeing why things happen the way they happen, why some women go through it differently than other women. We have to study this for a while.
I was wondering, just to double click on that, are you saying that the majority of even clinical trials just happen on men and they don't do it?
Of course,
on,
yeah. Well, we know that. We weren't involved in clinical trials until 1993.
Right.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about this too, which is just even the idea of reproduction and sex ed and sex. It's basically a middle school thing. Here's what I learned. I learned about pre-cum. I learned that pre-cum gets girls pregnant. And then they gave us a sack of flour that's supposed to be a baby to make us avoid teenage pregnancy. I don't know if you got that.
And they made you carry.
So the boys had to carry around a sack of flour.
Okay.
Or a sack of sugar. And it did not work. People we're talking about 6th grade boys.
Yes.
So some of the boys would drop kick the baby. Some of us at lunch would shoot the baby through a basketball hoop.
Of course you would.
Yeah, it was crazy. and then it stops.
Yeah.
So that's age 10, and then that's it.
Did you learn anything about the vagina or just the penis and the pre-cum?
Learned about the vagina. We learned about the uterus. We learned
the fallopian tubes.
The fallopian tubes. It got very scientific.
Did you learn about puberty?
Of course.
And boys and girls? Okay.
Totally. Puberty, fallopian tubes, vas deferens.
Yes.
A lot of very fun scientific words.
Yeah.
So this is a problem. The fact that my sex ed stopped at 6th grade, the fact that I'm 39 years old, I have a partner, we have not talked about menopause. We've had 2 beautiful children, but menopause is coming. And so I was I've taken the SAT, I've taken the SAT 2, I've taken my STAR tests of can you read? Can you do algebra? But I need someone to give me a menopause assessment test. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my menopause assessment exam, administered by Proctor Halle Berry.
What is menopause?
Menopause is when a woman stops shedding her uterine lining. What? That's part of it.
But that's not it, and that's not necessarily all of it.
Okay, give it.
So when you stop shedding your uterine lining, you're saying you have no longer having a period, right?
Correct.
That's not true, because there's a thing called premenopause, perimenopause, the menopause, and postmenopause. Menopause is just not one stage. There's sort of 5 stages of it.
Okay. And all of this is included in the menopause?
It's all menopause. Yeah. It's all menopause.
Gotcha.
It's the stages of menopause: pre, peri, the menopause, and then post. Is menopause a disease?
No.
No. What is it?
Something that should be celebrated at all costs.
I don't know. You're trying to
I was I don't know.
You heard him. Something that should be celebrated at all costs. At what age does menopause start?
Whatever age a woman wants it to start at. I'm trying, Halle.
Because I would want it to start never, and I don't get to do that.
Okay.
What if you want it to start never? It's still coming. So
60. It starts at 60.
Starts at 60.
55.
A normal woman could theoretically go into perimenopause in her late 30s. I told you, baby making years is 25 to 35. That's when that estrogen starts plummeting. when that time of our lives are over, and it can start that early. How many years do women experience symptoms before and after the menopause? So that's in peri and in post. And it's about the same. I'll give you a cheat.
10 to 15?
On either side?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably the closest right answer you had so
Really?
far.
Okay, what is it?
Yeah. It can be from 10 years before. You can experience symptoms for 10 years in perimenopause, and then you can experience symptoms up to 10 years after the menopause when you're in post. So what that means is a woman could potentially have symptoms of menopause for 2 decades. That's 20 years of her life.
Okay.
That statistic blew my mind too.
Yeah. No,
that's such a chunk of our life, and
Yes.
to not have our bodies studied, and for us to have so little information for a time of life where we could suffer for 20 years.
Yeah.
And all the things that suffering can do to us, early onset Alzheimer's, dementia, heart attack, osteoporosis, stroke, diabetes, but we're just not studying.
So what's next then? And what are the I mean, 20 years is such a long time. That's like a PhD for your body.
Yes, and not every woman will experience that long, but we do know, science does tell us that Black and brown women suffer longer.
Okay.
And the symptoms are more severe, but not everybody will suffer for 2 decades.
Okay.
Right? I think probably, I don't know if I'm right, but from what I believe I've read, it's somewhere between 4 to 5 years on either side, averagely. But there are studies that show that women have done it for 10 years on either side. That could happen.
Okay. Mind blown.
What are some things women lose during menopause? What do you think they lose?
Whatever is lost is gained through wisdom, experience, and age. Halle, you understand that each of these questions is a setup to a heterosexual man.
Think about it. What do you think they lose?
I would say perhaps, and I'm just only imagining because I've seen this in my parents, bone density, some organ function, I would imagine, and muscle mass, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my best guess.
Those are good.
Yeah.
You also lose hair. You lose your patience. And you also lose your ability to have any fucks left to give.
Holy shit.
That's a good side of it, though. It's not all bad going through menopause, actually. There's some really beautiful parts of it, and that's one of the good parts of it. You have no more fucks to give. And that's something that
well, that's great
to look forward to.
Well, that was my assessment exam. How did I do?
I think you did like most men would do.
Horribly?
Not horribly, but there's still a lot to learn. Okay. For all of us, there's a lot. Okay. We do this, as a joke, but there's so much for all of us to learn. Yes. I'm just a student. I'm learning myself. I'm trying to absorb as much as I can. I'm trying to fight in Washington to get federal dollars so we can keep learning, so that we can keep educating ourselves. That's what it's all about.
Well, Halle Berry, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. This was a lovely conversation.
Thank you. It was.
Really
Thank you. Thank you for being so open.
Of course.
About the subject.